In this lesson, we're going to be looking at local storage. So local storage gives us an opportunity to store a value in the user's browser, and we can retrieve that information. So we can set the value as well as get the item, and then we'll also remove items and clear all the items that are stored in the local storage. There's an example of how to set an item over here, how to get the item, remove the item, and also clear. More information, of course, Mozilla Developer Network. So it's a read-only local storage, allows us, the user, to store an object for the document's origin and store it. So it's similar to what you would do with cookies, where you're setting the item, so you give it a name and a value. So this is just one string value that you can set, as well as the name that you're going to be retrieving it. And then you look into the local storage to get the item, so specifying the name of the value that you set, and then also retrieving back that value. You can remove it, you can set it, you can get it, and as well, if you want to clear all the items from the local storage, all you would have to do is specify the clear method. So there is, of course, a challenge for this lesson, and that's to store a value in local storage and then increment it every time the user refreshes the page or comes back to the page. So let's try that out. You can pause the video here and I'll walk you through the solution. And I also kept the object from the last lesson where we were stringifying, as stringify is also something that I want to quickly show you in this lesson as well. So what we want to do is we want to check to see if a value is available within the local storage. And the way that we set and check in local storage is we get item. So specifying the item via its name that we're referencing it as. So if it is available, then what we want to do is we want to get that value. So using a variable that we're setting, and then this is the variable that we're going to use to increment. So getting that item, and we've given a name of num. We can convert it into a number format. And JavaScript would do this anyway, but just to be exact and also practice what we've learned in the earlier lessons, let's convert it into a number. And then taking that value, we're going to increment it by 1. And then going back to local storage, this time we're setting that item. So we're setting num to be equal to whatever the value of count is. So that's going to update the value in the local storage. And if it doesn't exist, then we want to set it. So taking local storage and using set item, we're going to set a value of num, and starting value, we can start it out at 1. And lastly, let's use console and local storage, and once again get item. So we're getting that item that we've got, give it num in order to reference it. So you can see that we've got it as 2 whenever I refresh it, because it's obviously because it's on live preview, so it's refreshing. So every time I refresh the page, our count is essentially increasing because we've got that value in there. We can also do local storage and clear. So this will clear out the local storage. And now when we start, you see that we're setting it back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's always going to be sitting within the local storage of the user's browser. And under the application tab, you can see local storage. So you can see the information, the content that's stored in local storage. And there's our num of 14. When we refresh, it goes to 15. So that's within Chrome. If you go under application, you can see that value being stored. And also I did want to indicate one other thing. So in case you do want to store something as local storage, so if you want to store this object, you can utilize what we did last time where we set that value and we take the object and use JSON stringify and then stringify the object. And now we can use local storage and we can set that value in local storage. So this is a great way, and this is a great example of how you can use that object in the local storage. So we're going to store it as temp. And when I refresh, you can see now I've got that object there, and this is within a string format. So if I want to pull that back out and use it, I'll just call it an object. Take local storage, get item, and we're getting back the object, and then wrap it with a JSON parse to parse the string back into a usable object format, and I'll console log out the n object value. so that you can see that now it's back in an object format, and this is actually coming from the local storage. So that's going to give us the option to use that. So within the storage, it's stored as a string, and we can use it again as an object, manipulate it, and of course save it back into the local storage after we've completed using it. So go ahead and try all this out.